Welcome to Surviving Business. This is such an honor today to have the wonderful Nas Pankey join. We've obviously got David, who is our other part of this phenomenal show that we have. So, Nas, welcome to the Surviving Business Show. Great to have
Thank
you.
you for having me.
It's awesome. So, all of you guys know that our goal here is that we believe businesses are a force for the common good. We believe that every single one of us has either a business, worked in a business, or love business, and we know that it's a driver for all of the great things that can happen in our society. In our first few episodes, we talked about specific industries, and Nas was gracious enough for us to bring her on for us to talk to her about her business. And this is kind of challenging for me personally because Nas is one of the people that I perceive as being unbelievably successful. She is doing so many wonderful things. For those of you who are following us today, I am showing you right now her her book that she has and also her phenomenal website. And so Nas, you're an inspiration to me and an inspiration to so many others that are out there. And so it's great to have you. And I want us to do this real quick. I want us to just jump in with thoughts and questions. You share a little bit about your business really quickly, and then what's like the main pressing thing that you have on your mind, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay, so my company is called Beast Mode Entertainment LLC. And how I started Beast Mode Entertainment was I had a group on Meetup called Atlanta Filmmakers Team, and we were like a good 400 strong in this group. And I would get together with other filmmakers throughout Atlanta. And some of the writers, people who had a passion for writing, would write scripts. People who had a passion for cinematography, they would come on as the DPs. And we had some editors, we had actors, we had I guess, every piece that we needed to create a film in this group. And we would meet up, plan a movie, and the next week we would shoot it. Then the next week we would go back over it and critique it. And what it did was it allowed people to feel comfortable, actors who were, I guess, aspiring actors to feel comfortable being in front of the camera, people to
Right.
feel comfortable being behind the camera, just kind of work on their craft. And so
Yes.
I didn't have a company name. And I had someone call me one day and say, "Hey, you better," because I was going by Atlanta Filmmakers Team. And someone said, "Hey, you better change that name. I'm going to sue you." Because they had a
Ooh.
name that was similar. It was Atlanta Filmmakers, and they had a different name, but I had Filmmakers Team. It just so happened that way, and I guess they felt like a lot of their members were kind of leaving to come to my group, but it wasn't that. It was that I was actually producing. My group was productive. We
That's
weren't
right.
sitting around talking, and we were doing things. So everybody just kind of wanted to be with the Atlanta Filmmakers Team.
So hold on a second.
And
This
so
person, Nas, they called you directly and said cease and desist.
they
Stop.
called me,
Yeah,
yes,
wow.
because we were growing. I mean, we were thriving. We were meeting every week and making films and having fun. And they said, "Hey, listen, if you don't change that name, I'm going to sue you." So at first, I started to fight back, and then I thought, okay, I got to make this into a business, and that's how Beast Mode Entertainment LLC started. I was like, okay, let me just do a Beast Mode Entertainment LLC. And because we were beast mode, that there
That
was no other way that we were beast mode. We get together. Hey, here's the script. Where's the actors? What do we need? Let's shoot it. Okay. What can we do better next time? Let's do it better. Let's go.
that's great.
And
That's a
and
great way to start off.
that's kind of how Beast Mode Entertainment started. And that's what Beast Mode is. Beast Mode is a filmmaking company. That's what we do. We get together, and I'm a producer. I'm a screenwriter. I'm an editor. I'm whatever it takes. I can do it from conception to completion to get the job done.
That's awesome.
That's beast
So
mode.
that's
And
great. I
what I need to learn, because I just kind of started this LLC. I never went to business school. You know my story about being illiterate, borderline. I'm not going to say totally illiterate, borderline illiterate most of my life, and kind of learning how to read as an adult. And so I'm still learning a lot of things. I never learned how to run a business. I
yeah.
don't know about branding and marketing. And it's just so much that I want to know that I don't know. I know people know Nas Panky, and I'm not sure if I should be Brandon Nas Bank Panky or Brandon Beast Mode Entertainment. I don't know.
That's awesome. That's a great way to kick it off with that question. I know David's been capturing some thoughts there. But before we go in and answer that direct question, I'll allow David to give some opening comments and remarks about this conversation today.
Okay, well, welcome, Nas. Um, I'm not about to interview you. I just want to say, what you've been doing is amazing, right? Just listening to the story, how everything grew organically, that's just amazing. That's kind of like why we do what we do, right? Why we love businesses and why we say that, we feel like businesses are, it's the heartthrob of what you live for, right? When you're a young kid and you're in school, um, the whole idea is what are you going to be when you grow up, right? And all of these things are always careers, right? No one ever says they want to be a junkie or, just hanging out at their mom's crib for the rest of their life. I don't think so. Uh, if I meet the kid that says that, I'm like, oh, geez, what do we do for you? But,
Mhm.
but when we look on people who get to, go and do creative things, that's even more amazing, right? And we understand that a lot of creative types, they're not really business types, right? So, as you say, like, yeah, you didn't know, but you did. And, the whole thing is that a type is only a type until when you decide to change that type, right? Until when you start to learn more, right? And then you start to do things that are outside of what your comfort zone was, right? So your comfort zone maybe wasn't business, but right now you're a business lady, right? And right now you're making moves, right? You said you didn't know anything about marketing, or you feel like that's probably something that you could use help on. You'll learn it, right?
That's
And
beautiful.
you know,
Yeah, that's so amazing. There's so many people, and we've been in those meetings where people just talk stuff and say, "Hey, let's do this and let's do that," and we don't do that. You are such an inspiration now to just say, "I'm going to do it. I ain't got no
yep,
time. I'm gonna go ahead and do it and make it happen." Your first
Yes.
question about whether you should be Nas or Beast Mode, the answer is both, and you are Nas Banky. There was a book recently that I gave to my son that I don't keep many books. Once I read them, I just I give them away or something. But I gave him a book recently because he's an aspiring sports writer, and the book was called "You Are a Brand" by Harry Beckworth. And so it's a phenomenal book about how every single one of us is a brand. So Nas Panky is a brand. All the stuff you've done so far, is a brand. Now, Beast Mode
yep,
Entertainment, you from a legal and from a corporate perspective, you need that. But when you think about you specifically, you are the brand. All of the stuff you've done so far, that is the power of it. And your story is so amazing. That is what's going to drive everything else. So when you think
yep,
about how do you phrase and how you put it together, and even on your website here, it's amazing that your website, you've already thought this way. That is your website with your URL. You know how many times I have to talk to people about getting a URL? They're like, what do you mean? By getting my website address, they're like, what do you mean? Why I got to do that? Why not? Why don't I come up with some fancy name? No, you are the person. You
yep,
are the thing. So you got to start with that. So your answer is you are the brand. You still need beast mode because you need that from your taxes and from your legal and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to marketing, you're the face of all of that. Evergreen Uprooted, which is your book, that is something that you did. So it all stems from you. So hopefully that helps you as far as how that thought process should kick off with that.
Yes, thank you. I never looked at it that way. Thank you so much, Winston.
Yeah. And I tell
and
you,
it's and it's all.
go ahead,
And
go
it's
ahead.
also one of those thoughts where you can play with the naming convention, even as you start to say beast mode, right? Because as what Winston is saying, you're the brand, right? Beast mode by Nas, brought to you by Nas Panky. Because what you want to do is that you don't want to allow for the brand to overwhelm you, And I would say like when you look at um certain examples that are out there, I like to look at like a Jay-Z for something like this, right? Where there was Rockefeller and then there was Jay-Z. And we knew other people that were involved with Rockefeller, but Jay-Z was his own brand, even though he was, used within Rockefeller itself, right? So when you think about your brand, don't allow for, you to think like, oh, well, beast mode has to do this and then I have to be this and I have to do this. No, they're kind of in tandem because beast mode's success is going to be your success. When I used to teach financial literacy to, to underserved communities, a lot of times what I would tell people to get them up and motivated was you got to understand that you're the business, and this is just personal, right? You have to run your life like a business, right? And when we think about branding, when we think about budgeting, when we think about everything that we do in our lives, if you're running it like it's a business, more than likely you're going to do things that are more efficient, and you're going to do things that are going to make you more successful. Um,
Yeah,
so
and
Yes.
that passion
Yes.
around that's the key thing. So Nas, I tell you, you are the brand. You saw what David just shared with you. Like everything you create is powered by Nas Pankey. Everything you do is
Okay.
around that. Business school people will tell you the reverse sometimes. They'll tell you, "Oh yeah, you should do this branding and get your this name and that name and that." But that may not apply to us as creatives. We
no,
are
Mm.
creating the thing. You wrote it, or you wrote it with some other people from a collaborative perspective. So you did all of that together. So hence, you've got to be in the front of it.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, have you ever listened to like certain artists, and then you're amazed at how much work they did that you never knew that they did?
Yes.
you know, you
Hmm.
know,
Yes.
like I remember I was at a Nice and Smooth concert. For
okay.
all the young people that are out there, you gotta like Google Nice and Smooth
Uh
hip
oh,
hop probably.
he's going back there. You're gonna have them
Yes.
two.
That's
You're gonna
my day. I know exactly who they are.
you're
But
gonna have,
yeah, so it was a
you're gonna
Nice
have
and
those two
Smooth
young
concert. It
boys.
was free in the park.
I was
What
gonna
you
say
say?
you got those two young boys who listen to old records and they do have their YouTube channel. They're gonna do that now with Nice and Smooth.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. There you go. So yeah, Nice and Smooth, and Smooth B started singing some of the songs that he wrote. I'm like, wait, hold up. I didn't know you sang that, right? Well, I didn't know you wrote that. And he's singing the song, I think it was like some high five song or something. I'm like, I didn't know you did that.
Wow.
And what I say there, that's like a lack of branding, right? Because if I didn't know and nobody else knew, hence why you're not as
Yes.
relevant. Well, he's not as relevant as what he could be, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's like, yeah, maybe you do want to take a back seat. Babyface wrote everything for everybody, right? But hey, Babyface has a big name, right? He has a brand, right? And anybody in that circle knows about Babyface and what he wrote. But for certain people, they need to make sure that that's being on the forefront, right? And when you're
Wow.
coming up, you want that on the forefront.
Yeah, your
That's
name
why
is
it's
Yes.
Tyler Perry Studios.
your name is
Yes.
unique,
You know,
right?
it's when you say that, I remember I had went to a friend of mine, well not, colleague, and I said, "Hey, why is it that you never bring me in on any of the jobs that you do?"
Hmm.
And he looked at me and he said, "Nas, I don't know what you can do." He said, like, I didn't even know you could direct. So it's so many things that people don't know that I can do that I do. And that's when
Yep.
I learned how important it is just to let people know what I can do. So I kind of started doing like some behind the scenes. Like I was working on so many projects, but I would never have anybody behind the scenes, getting behind the scenes footage or pictures or anything. I was just like, let's get this job done from conception to completion and move on to the next. So people really didn't know that, you know what, I can write screenplays, but I can also be a cinematographer. I can edit, I can storyboard, I can do a shot list. They didn't know that I could do these different things because I just didn't market myself or that way, or even talk about it. And I guess I always felt like talking about it is bragging. I guess I don't know.
I think lots of us
Uh,
came up with that kind of thought process that when we
yeah,
said, hey, if somebody said what you do and you start to do it, we thought it was like braggadocious to say, hey, yo, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. And you're just like, no, I'm trying to be humble because this is what I can do. I want to help you. But the
yeah,
reality is that we all, by telling people what we can do, we are helping them.
Yep.
They're letting them know that, hey, I got the capacity and the capability to help you in a certain way. So it's not just you, Nas. I think it's a lot of us that have to go through that challenge where you just, when you sit down and you think about all the stuff you've done, the skills that you've done in the past, you say, oh my gosh, this is fantastic.